The Mercury Theater on the air. Broadcasting System takes pleasure tonight in bringing you the first of a new series of weekly broadcasts by Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the air.
Viewer discretion is advised.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
Let's get high.
There's nothing to worry about. I know who you are!
Where are you taking me?
Kiss for your dad? Huh?
A combination of salt, mercury, and sulfur. Every 15 minutes of the day, the forest green beams of the 14 moons of Neptune tousle my dry and damaged, disheveled, eternally dandruff-ridden hair. Sometime in the month of June during the year 2018,
augmented fourths, flatted fifths, icicles falling off of plant-covered condos, unpinned grenades of requited love and unparalleled joy, untethered, uncanned, unloosed where our pastures are everything but forest green.
East of Eden and west of Zanzibar, on this side of paradise, in an ornate gilt frame, in the deep shadows of skyscrapers, in many a vanished year and age, range thus for battle on the sacred plain. In a world full of strangers, a giant crack opens up in the earth, and a 12-headed, pre-Adamic sculpture frees itself from an oblivion of marble.
Every 15 minutes of the day, your unmanned predator drone spy planes mount the foggy horizon over my camps of internment, and our one head contains 6 faces. A sunny destination awaits you, and a colony of ants lay siege to your neighbor's house. Every 15 minutes of the day, another dweeb takes the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge every hour of the night. In Paris, an incognito American porn star is wooed by a penniless French aristocrat. Every 15 minutes of the day, Every 15 minutes of the day, some genius is locking either their toddler or horribly trained pets in a hot, unair-conditioned car, and a mute banshee attempts to scream blue murder or something to live for. Rescuers end searching for the wreckage of our derelict Russian cruise ship at the bottom of Lake Ontario as an unbelievable rumor congeals into an incontestable fact every 15 minutes of the day. Toronto, my bereaved Marie, I loved you once. I loved you like Woody Allen loved Manhattan. Yonge Street. I can't say I hold that same sentiment today. We were of one flesh once. When I sauntered up and down you when I was younger, heaven was truly mine. Heaven for me was to be found in the very midst of you. Some of my fondest memories, some of my fondest, most cherished memories are the times I skipped/cut class and wandered around you by myself, like Diogenes with his lantern lit in the daytime, in search of an honest man. With only my allowance or hoarded Christmas and birthday money in my pocket. Sometimes, if I was lucky, maybe even a joint. Like I said, heaven seen mine back then, with all of the people new to my rookie eyes, the stores, the restaurants, bars, and the scents, made all the more sweet by the fact that I wasn't technically allowed to be downtown by myself. I felt like a Nazi-looted Matisse and a headless angel without wings back then, Yonge Street. I felt an emotion that is actually impossible to define. Is it truly better to be king for a night than a schmuck for a lifetime? The King of Comedy, for me, is one of the greatest black comedies of all time. Have you seen it? In your cruel, moist, indifferent palm, I commended my eternal spirit. Now the pleasures of this planet aren't enough. I was alone back then, Yonge Street. As I mentioned, I am alone right now, although I don't want to be. Should I see a psychic? I've already passed 3. What will you look like in 2063? What robust, exhilarating joy would have been mine, despite the fact that I'm colored, if I could have strolled down you in the year 1923. If quantum theorists are right, then everyone who's ever walked down this street and everyone who will ever walk down this street is walking down this street holding my hand right now. The sky is a brilliant baby blue without a single cloud. The sun is rising to its zenith. My mindscape is full of stubby arms reaching out of the cement, grasping for the charred skeletons of the constellations of stars. Shut the fuck up, Yonge Street. Jihad me at hello. That was actually the ridiculous headline that greeted me from the cover of today's paper. You know I'm not making this shit up. I am living. I have lived. I live like a deposed king and a beached whale. My glittering throat blazed like the berry of solace and a trinket of joy. Yonge Street. I just passed an aggressive panhandler hoisting up a cardboard sign that says, "Need money for question mark." And I wonder how much money he'll get. At the end of the day, what the hell is with all the upcoming condos? Why are artists moving to Hamilton? Hamilton, how can you justify your outrageous cost of living? Why are bats dying by the millions and bees by the billions? Why? Why did I even ask you that? Why are you dolling yourself up like a cut-rate Times Square? It's 2017. 'Tis the April of our prime, and I'm just strutting down one of the world's longest streets, which just happens to be you. April 30th, 2014. Like the gnarled dissipate of the spirit's awful night, on the small love seat of some shrill, benevolent harpy, I am awakened rudely by the crystallization of the passage of time in the emblematic form of a disgruntled male roommate taking a grisly, thunderous, nauseating piss in their communal, dish-filled sink. I know what you think. I know exactly what you are thinking, dear listener, sweet companion. I know you are wondering how after living like a crown prince for more than a decade and a day, did the oriental rug get pulled out from under me and my life get 360 thus, causing me to wake up here, huh? Now, how could I, after spending a blissfully iniquitous night in what can only be inadequately described as ecstatic flight, awake to such a horrific scene? I don't know. Thine guess is as good as mine, man. It could be a lot worse. I could not have 2 vials left of whatever it was I was flying on last night, stashed into my gray and black argyle sock. The hot, coagulated light from the midnight sun could not be hemorrhaging through her California shutters into a puddle on their dirty, uncarpeted floor. It could be a lot worse, though, believe me, because it has. I could not have a sensitive, damn near heroic bottle of red wine to ease my precarious transition into the new day. It could be a lot worse, though. I could not be having dinner with a sensual, sophisticated lady at her place in a few hours, but still, for some obscure reason, as I begin my ascent from crow to raven to phoenix, through vitality and decay, and back, as fact becomes fictions and fiction becomes facts, I can't help but feel like the gnarled dissipate of the spirit's awful night being crudely awakened by the crystallization of the passage of time. Crickets. There's something slightly eerie about sitting like a sick monarch, ignored by his physician, picking out a fruit and fiber muffin inside a McDonald's at 5:15 a.m., nursing a small black coffee without any sugar, with only $40 left to your name, when you spent the last 3 weeks sending out resumes for the most degrading, muse-crushing jobs, and only received a dead silence. And you've sent your best poems out. You've sent your best poems out to various poetry magazines over the last 6 months, and only heard crickets. There is something truly depressing, I swear, about sitting in a McDonald's at 5:15 a.m., biting your nails because you're horrified, terrified you might be developing sleep apnea and losing your hair, praying for a passageway a wormhole to another dimension to open up for you to enter. And you're waiting for the daily subway service to begin so that you can crash upon the couch of some shrill, benevolent harpy. I'm telling you, dear reader, sweet companion, there is something slightly scary about sitting like an ailing monarch, deserted by his physician, picking at a fruit and fiber muffin inside an empty McDonald's at 5:15 a.m. when the crescent moon is still in the sky and you're nursing a small black coffee without any sugar. Edward Bernays / bathtub gin. The stink of old blood and barbecued raspberries and burnt steak are rescuely aswarm with elderly delinquent gangs of gentle skinhead punks babysitting children that have never even been born, who frequent my favorite bar and chase our hydrocodone dragon around and around and around and around and around and around in circles with their stuffed up noses, squinting troubled looks, really troubled. They may stretch our necks on all the gibbets in the land. They may turn every rock into a scaffold, every tree into a gallows, every home into a grave. And yet the words on that parchment can never die. They may pour our blood on 1,000 scaffolds, and yet from every drop that dies the axe, a new champion of freedom will spring into birth, looks as if to say, the things above are reflected in the things below, even though we know that one organ donor can save 8 lives, and that there are many different obstacled, forked paths, usheretting us all the same way to the dive bar's patrons they convey. War, psychic toxins, pandemonium, karma, ruptured Enbridge tar sands pipeline, tiny helicopters piloted by human thought, Edward Bernays, problem, reaction, solution, deja vu, the fluoridation of our radioactive water, the 9 places we never remember to put sunscreen, the 6 places dentists check most, liberating oppressors, expired candy, weather manipulation, and transition/death through the mythical medium of interpretive dance, as I, impressed, confused, intrigued, and etc., order yet another Guinness at the Texas Moon Cafe on Ossington and Queen, and tried to decipher what exactly 'twas that Pythagoras and his followers had against beans. Sectarian death squads wandering the deserted deserts of a crackhead's pipe dream, who can turn vinegar into your favorite wine and contaminated water into champagne. I can transform your ills into Oz like a strong Germanic king. For you I'll survive being taken for a ride by a burly Calabrian hitman with piercing gray blue eyes, jet black hair, and a high-pitched falsetto. For you I will race, sprint through a swarm of enraged African bees, and emerge unstung for you. For you I will superglue my stacked deck of upturned cards onto every smashed glass table, and wear my liquid skeleton outside of my soft skin like a twin crab scuttling indirectly toward its goal, which lays directly ahead of it. I'll rip off your blindfold made of wool, remove the muzzle from your mouth, and tear up that stale book of old. For you, free the imprisoned goldsmith, if I must, bear witness to the penultimate truth, and beat a few can in Ethiopia in a long-distance marathon. For you, I'll confide my secret belief that when Salvador Dali died, he became again supreme ruling deity, which explains why the world is the way it now is. For you, I will shine a harsh, unbearable light upon everything that has ever been lost and forbidden, burnt, hidden, and reveal the hoarded, esoteric wisdom of the ages. Unbag the legendary cat. I will shed the white blood of my soul to give you the skeleton and the whole unexpurgated heart. I will risk life, limb, love, sanity, poverty, health, reputation, and pay the steep price in order to grant you a precognitive glimpse, a bald, mechanical eagle's eye view of the things to come, and conjure something new. You have no idea what I'm willing to put my nervous system through. The perilous journeys of Enoch, Dante, Quasi Benefo, Kevin Garvey, and every romantic, swashbuckling hero and human-headed bird, bringing us the broomstick of the wicked witch of the West, can't hold a snuff-bloody candle to what I've been through, and will continue to go through, to earn your love, and conjure something new. This is called Medical Cannabis Doesn't Have to Be Kosher, or Cody Jarrett, or Infant Monkeys Eating Aspartame. On tranquilizers, her astral body shoots up out of the soil as a blade of grass in a vast garden, prompting her to shout, "I am the earth, and I am." Aren't we all? Her rare baby blue armored tank of a body becomes an immense ocean full of captainless ships, conspicuous pickpockets drinking calculated water, a person in the latter stages of Alzheimer's, rediscovering their forgotten lives via photo. Police provocateurs are laced throughout the peaceful protests where the computer-generated image of a young Marlon Brando is randomly gifting 1,000 cheap thrills, consummating in a raw instant. A flower. As people of all races and creeds fly across the triangular canvas of the star-wealthy sky. So why terrorist cells of proud parents surveilling an organization of babies making snow angels in the sand? No lifeguard is on duty, ladies and gentlemen. No sunsets and no sadness born of joyous evenings are teasing lucky arcs of visual light. No hidden Nowell's crystal eagle. No embarking upon the soundless foam cockpit's moaning pilot's stately, disembodied voice of liquid stone, arising from out of the tender sealskin boats of our cold gray sailors' incestuous mother, awed by our one-color painting at the center of the edge. The dead coarse peasants rebelled Chinese along the river, laborers millions. Only the vampires escape black country rock unscathed. The tigers are disappearing from the forest, they say. The tigers are disappearing from the forest. Their oysters have been drained, and the beach dolphins and whales, alas, are on their way to lunch. A brown, miniature, sex-reversed Mustang is galloping triumphantly out of the pink, idiolated sea. It's time to do. It's time to do what loyal followers do when they find out their beloved leader is wrong. It's time for armies to French kiss foam flung from a deep ship's voice. New kingdoms for haggard pariahs to seek. New ways to manipulate public opinion to accept the agendas of the ruling classes. Fresh symbols, new ways to burn out, new raptures to defile thine body, drifting toxic clouds of volcanic ash. The sound of the lone loom singing instant gratification. The sound of the lone loom singing instant gratification across the fake lake. Competitive food eating contests being held in this world where billions are starving. Revel Bacchanalian. Mock funeral. Tainted beef and pork belly stew. When I went to school, there was only one solar system, and Pluto was still a planet. The sun slouched at a rakish angle in the indifferent sky back then. It shone brightly through our shattered window, and a loose volcanic nun vigorously rubbed our sharp skulls like a feathered heart, burnished by a drooping star in quaint villages, shaded by immense, walking, leafless, snow-covered trees, and a laboratory in Switzerland created the ghost of James Joyce, where the gay wind stayed to woo the young lovers as they passed even then. And even then I knew that it would take someone like you to help me remain healthy and balanced in this world. I always felt to be their polar opposite. Even then, even back then, I worried that life might try to do to me and you what it did to most of our lost heroes, or made most of them do to themselves.
Yes.
Orange-haired cyborgs are pecking people's third eyes out with their pointy, elongated, imaginary beaks.
Yes.
The 26-year-old champion of the Game Fixers is now fucking a 76-year-old woman who resembles a teenage boy skydiving into a hot tub full of piranhas.
Yes.
The jewel-encrusted skull being held by a high priestess between 12 rows of aspirants represents the dead astronaut's ascension into godhood. And yes,
the facts as we know them have been distorted by a deliberate conspiracy to keep us from knowing the facts as they really are, wrote
Robert Anton Wilson. But when I went to school, there was only one solar system, and Pluto was still considered a
planet. We met on New Year's Eve.
We met on New Year's Eve, which was the day I got cast out of the place I was then living, after I dropped a hit of acid at the U.S. Girls Zoc Automat show at Double Double Land. And right away we knew Some force larger than ourselves was pushing us together.
Thank you for a lovely and passionate evening. Sweet dreams.
Within those few, criminally brief hours we had the privilege of spending together, we managed to forge a connection deeper than 4 couples who sleep in separate beds could manage in the span of 2 or 3 years. Didn't we? No matter what vile or golden fate awaits me in the future, I will always remember your flask of Irish whiskey and your thermos full of bathtub gin, your lost earring, the bottle of Prosecco we shared, and the genuine magic that transpired between us in the screening room of that Madman Theater and that booth at the Pine House, the scent of your perfume, everything we discussed, and the way you rearranged my leopard print scarf, and the way you kissed me for what may have been the last time, as you were about to step onto the surprisingly emptied streetcar on that cold, immortal night, and said,
Thank you for a lovely and passionate evening. Sweet dreams. I miss
you already.
June 24th, 2000. On my 106th birthday, as I sat on the varnished ceramic tile floor by the gilded bronze door, flying on the contents of my jeweled, pearl-encrusted snuff box, watching you sleep, like an over-imaginative child worrying about extraterrestrials big brothering the movements of the oblivious denizens of the earth, like lurking, voyeuristic creeps, or a doting, anxious mother on a red-sheeted, queen-size bed with a thin, blue duvet, with one arm slung over your head, resembling two unarmed, adolescent thugs about to attempt to mug an ultimate fighter or a Shaolin monk, resembling an eradicated, usurped, co-opted pagan goddess whose worshippers are dead, or some sacred, headless, Arthurian angel without wings who was poisoned by green gold, not lead. On June 24th, 2000, I witnessed the beached whale, the stranded leviathan of your soul, astrally flee. I witnessed the exact moment it successfully broke free.